Welcome to Speed and Nguyen's Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a cinematic event that, well, has been building anticipation for years. Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four, First Steps.
It's right.
After quite a few attempts, to bring Marvel's first family to the big screen, this new deep dive promises something genuinely fresh, a really cool retro-futuristic take. What's really caught my eye, and I think everyone's, is how critics and audiences are pretty much universally calling it a fresh start.
Yeah, a confident, stylish reintroduction.
Exactly. That signals something pretty significant, I think, for the whole superhero genre right now.
Indeed. And look, this isn't just, another superhero movie plopped into the schedule. It's being hailed as the film that finally gets its heroes right.
Which is huge, considering their history.
It carries considerable weight, given the Fantastic Four's storied and, let's be honest, sometimes troubled cinematic past. So our mission today, essentially, is to thoroughly unpack the layers of this really much-discussed film. We'll dive deep into the critical reception, which has kind of defied recent trends, maybe.
Yeah.
And the bold, very deliberate, creative choices the filmmakers made.
And the characters, of course.
And the nuanced character portrayals that seem to have audiences really buzzing with excitement. Beyond the film itself, though, we also need to explore why this particular version is hitting home so strongly right now.
In this cultural landscape.
Exactly. And maybe, most importantly, what its, undeniable success means for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and, the broader superhero genre. It feels like a real moment of recalibration.
Okay, let's really unpack this then. The Fantastic Four. I mean, as characters, they have such a long, complex, and frankly, often disappointing history on screen.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
For decades, attempts to really capture their essence, their core.
Well, to put it mildly, they haven't quite hit the mark.
Not really, no.
We're talking about a legacy that includes that legendary but unreleased 1994 film.
Ah, yes, the Corman one. A collector's item, almost. Right, the one you really have to track down. Then there are the more widely seen, but pretty divisive 2005 and 2007 movies.
Tim Story's films.
Yeah.
They have their fans, but divisive.
And then, of course, the critically maligned 2015 version, almost universally seen as a creative and commercial misstep.
A definite low point, yeah.
So it's fair to say the Fantastic Four, First Steps, didn't just arrive with the usual blockbuster hype. It came with this palpable sense of historical baggage.
Absolutely.
And just exceptionally high expectations from longtime comic fans who've waited decades, literally, for a faithful adaptation.
And from general audiences just hoping for something genuinely different in the superhero space.
Exactly. This wasn't just another reboot. It felt like Marvel Studios' really high-stakes attempt to finally do justice to these icons, their unique place in comic history.
And a key aspect that truly stands out, I think, is how Marvel Studios consciously, very strategically, approached this huge challenge.
Right, after getting the rights back from Fox.
Precisely. After Disney's big acquisition of Fox back in March 2019 finally brought the FF rights home to Marvel Studios, they made a pivotal decision, a really significant one.
Which was?
They chose to deliberately avoid retelling the origin story.
Okay. That is big.
It's huge. And it echoes how they brought Spider-Man into the MCU, remember? He was already swinging around Queens.
Yeah, no Spider-Bite scene again.
Exactly. So by not spending valuable screen time on, the cosmic rays, how they got their powers, the story we've seen versions of before,
right,
the film was immediately freed up. It could focus on them as an established, functioning team, maybe still evolving, sure, but a team.
So you jump right into their dynamic.
You jump right in. It allows for an immediate, fresh perspective on them as a family, as heroes, right from the get-go. In that subtitle, First Steps, it works on so many levels.
Also?
Well, obviously, it references the team's optimism, their sort of pioneering spirit in space exploration, their scientific curiosity.
Space race vibe.
Totally. But it also, quite literally, refers to the first steps of a new generation within the family. With Franklin Richards being part of the story.
Ah, okay. The baby.
Right. And maybe most crucially, it symbolizes the first steps for Marvel Studios in properly integrating this foundational family into the wider MCU narrative. It's really a foundational film, setting a new tone, a new direction.
So, okay, given all that baggage, all that anticipation, and this fresh approach, how did it actually land? With critics, with audiences?
Well, the numbers are pretty telling.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four, First Steps, premiered to a really impressive 88% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, 88%. That's high.
It is, especially from a large pool, 291 critics. And over on Metacritic, it got a generally favorable 64 out of 100 based on 54 reviews.
64 is solid, but maybe not quite as high as the 88% suggests. Still good, though.
It's definitely good, yeah. And these numbers are genuinely significant, especially when you think about all the recent pervasive talk about superhero fatigue.
Right, that's been the dominant narrative for a while.
Exactly. So this shows that even in what feels like a saturated market, a really quality superhero film can still cut through the noise, maybe even redefine expectations.
Okay, so that leads to the big question. Why did this one succeed where others stumbled? Especially previous FF movies. And why now when everyone's supposedly tired of capes?
Right. Well, digging into the reviews, our sources show a really strong consensus among critics. They praised its refreshing clarity of purpose.
Meaning it knew what it wanted to be?
Exactly. A narrative that felt direct, confident, not bogged down by, like, overly complex world building or convoluted plots.
Simple story, well told.
In a way, yeah. Many loved its bold embrace of comic book kitschiness, that vibrant, imaginative, almost kind of whimsical quality instead of defaulting to that gritty realism trend.
Which maybe doesn't fit the FF anyway.
Probably not.
Yeah.
This allowed it to feel uncluttered, good-natured, genuinely fun. Peter de Bruges from Variety called it a definitive fresh start, like a true clean slate.
And USA Today said it finally gets its heroes right.
Brian Truitt, yeah. A sentiment echoed by so many reviewers who felt the film really understood the core of these characters. There's this clear agreement that it does justice to the legacy and genuinely finds real power in its love for its roots.
So, connecting back to the original Lee and Kirby comics.
Deeply, connecting with that spirit, that optimism, this critical agreement on its faithfulness and its fresh, confident style really set it apart.
But here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit complicated. Despite that overwhelmingly positive vibe, the 88% score. Some critics still gave it middle-of-the-road grades, like a 3 out of 5 or a C.
Right, that disconnect is noticeable.
Like Jonathan Romney from the Financial Times gave it 45, which is good, but then he weirdly mentioned its nice bathrooms and kitchen fittings in the review.
Huh, okay.
That's specific.
Well, a bit odd, right. And Donald Clark of the Irish Times gave it 35, noting it rattles along with refreshing clarity, which sounds positive. But 35 for a film like this feels moderate.
Yeah, it doesn't quite track with refreshing clarity. So this apparent gap between the positive words and the actual scores kicked off a lot of online debate.
Oh, I bet. The superhero fatigue tax argument.
Exactly. Fans and industry watchers arguing that maybe films of similar quality get lower scores now than they would have 5 years ago just because critics are maybe a bit jaded.
It's possible. Unconscious bias, perhaps.
And then you have someone like David Ehrlich at IndieWire giving it a flat-out rotten score, declaring the MCU is back to crawling on its knees.
Ouch. That's harsh.
And many fans saw that less as a critique of the specific film and more as just a general frustration with the whole genre, regardless of this movie's quality.
Right. It becomes about the trend, not the individual film, which really shows the complex state the genre is in right now.
Definitely.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really does suggest a more sophisticated and undeniably tougher audience and critical landscape for the superhero movies now.
People are scrutinizing them more.
Way more intensely. Think about it. Back in the MCU's earlier phases, even films some might now see as maybe mediocre, like Ant-Man and the Wasp or Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
they could often pull in 85% or more on Rotten Tomatoes almost automatically, just riding the wave of the MCU's success and novelty.
Right, the brand was so strong.
But a film of similar perceived quality now, it would probably struggle. It might land in the 60–70% range.
So the bar is higher.
Much higher. It implies that only, like, top quality installments will be tolerated now for these films to really impress and get those high scores, reflecting broad critical approval.
Yet First Steps did get those high scores.
It did, which suggests it genuinely impressed critics who are more discerning now. And then look at the box office. It had the biggest preview night of 2025, $24.4 million.
Wow, bigger than Superman.
Impressively, yes. Yeah. It surpassed Superman, which had just opened 2 weeks earlier to its own strong reviews. This really feels like that chessboard curse is broken for Marvel.
Explain that chessboard curse idea a bit more.
Sure. It refers to that long, frustrating period where key Marvel characters like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men had their film rights held by other studios, mainly Fox.
So they were off the board for the MCU.
Exactly. Fans felt they were kind of cursed with subpar adaptations because Marvel Studios couldn't integrate them properly. Disney buying Fox put those pieces back on the main MCU chessboard.
And first steps, success shows they know how to play with them now.
Precisely. It validates that huge strategic move and breaks that long-standing creative barrier, signaling a strong return to form for Marvel's output.
Okay, so we've talked about the context, the reception. Let's dive into the film itself, the world building, the characters. That retro future vibe seems crucial.
Oh, absolutely crucial. The film is set against this really vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world on Earth 828.
It's a specific Earth designation.
Right, and that choice absolutely saturates the film with the optimism, the scientific ambition, the sheer excitement of the space race era.
That whole aesthetic, the retro future 60s look.
Mm-hmm. It's a very deliberate, visionary choice by the director, Matt Shakman. He explicitly said he wanted it to look like something Kubrick in 1965 might have made.
Taking cues from 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Big time. Especially its sense of wonder, its visual grandeur, and also from the legendary futurist Sid Mead.
Oh, the Blade Runner guy, Tron.
The very same. Renowned for that breathtaking concept art. So this blend of nostalgic charm and forward-looking design isn't just like window dressing.
It informs the whole tone.
Deeply, from the architecture to the tech.
Yeah.
And really grounds the film's hopeful, exploratory mood.
So how did this unique setting and vision shape the characters? How did they bring these icons to life this time?
Right, great question. The film introduces the core team, and each portrayal feels quite layered, brought to life with real depth.
Let's start with Reed, Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal.
Okay, Reed. Described in our sources as the most scientifically intelligent person on the planet.
No pressure there.
None at all. And they framed him as this blend of real-world figures, the sort of innovative spirit of Steve Jobs, the deep intellect of Einstein,
Okay.
and the ambitious, transformative, maybe sometimes controversial drive of an urban planner like Robert Moses.
That's a fascinating mix. Moses especially adds an edge.
It does. And Pascal apparently found Reed's mind the most compelling part, even more than the stretching. He famously compared Reed's brilliance to the brilliance of an octopus.
An octopus? How so?
Suggesting, I think, a multifaceted, adaptive, deeply complex intellect that reaches in many directions at once. And notably, Pascal drew inspiration from various comic iterations, not past film versions, aiming for something fresh but authentic.
Okay, interesting. What about Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, Vanessa Kirby?
Sue, introduced as Reed's pregnant wife, and characterized as the most emotionally intelligent person on the planet.
The counterbalance to Reed's logic.
Exactly. The heart, perhaps.
Yeah.
Kirby apparently really enjoyed digging into the comics, synthesizing different portrayals, with motherhood being a really powerful, consistent thread for her.
And Kirby brought something else too, right? Something darker.
Yes. Intriguingly, she said she was obsessed with the comic run where Sue becomes Malice.
Malice, that's a deep cut. Her negative persona.
Right, that powerful, darker manifestation driven by suppressed rage, cosmic influence. Kirby consciously incorporated elements of that more assertive, complex version.
Why?
To avoid, in her words, the stereotype of a goody, sweet mother. To give Sue more layers, more inner strength. And obviously her pregnancy in the film adds huge meaning to the title, First Steps, literally new life.
Makes sense. Okay, Ben Grimm, The Thing, Eben Mosbach doing motion capture.
Ben, yeah, his transformation into that orange, rocky form is always that physical metaphor for his deep loyalty, his nature as a fighter with a fierce sense of code, morality, and family.
And Mosbach talked to Mark Ruffalo.
He did. Consulted extensively with Ruffalo about the mocap process, learned from his Hulk experience, the challenges, the opportunities of performing that way.
And there was something about a rock named Jennifer.
Huh? Yes, that wonderfully quirky detail. The production team apparently used a specific desert rock they nicknamed Jennifer on set as a precise lighting reference for Ben's rocky hide.
To get the look just right.
Exactly. Ensuring meticulous accuracy in the VFX, grounding his look in real textures. But it's worth noting, some viewers felt Ben's character arc, despite a strong performance, felt a bit shortchanged.
How so? Less screen time.
Yeah, discussions online about how maybe some key scenes got cut. There was a rumor about a fight with the Red Ghost and his Super Apes.
Oh, a classic FF villain.
Right, and fans speculated that including a scene like that would have given Ben more action, a more complete journey, maybe address some pacing issues, or the feeling he didn't get quite as much focus.
Okay. And finally, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Joseph Quinn.
Johnny. Quinn aimed for a more self-aware version, maybe less overtly callous than some past takes. They consciously moved away from the older portrayals of his womanizing.
Updating him for modern audiences.
Pretty much. Both Quinn and Kevin Feige discussed it, concluding that the old way just wouldn't feel sexy or relatable now. Quinn's Johnny still has the bravado, the humor,
Of course, flame on.
but it's infused with maybe a deeper understanding of why he seeks attention, showing a character who's maturing, figuring out his role in the family, and as a public figure.
Okay, that covers the core four. What about the antagonists? Galactus must have been a huge undertaking.
Huge. Galactus, voiced by Ralph Ineson, depicted as this truly gigantic cosmic being who consumes the life force of planets.
The devourer of worlds.
But what's fascinating here is the added layer. He's presented as the sole survivor of a dead universe that existed before Earth 828.
Yeah.
Gives him this ancient, almost primordial quality.
Wow, so not just a big hungry guy.
Not quite. Innocent saw him less as evil, more like a god of sorts, just, doing what a big planet-eating guy does. Planets are just sustenance.
Like us eating an apple.
On cosmic scale, yeah. And it was vital to Shackman that they got his comic-accurate look, right? The giant armored humanoid figure.
Definitely not the Cloud from the 2007 movie.
Definitely not the Cloud. They actually built his distinctive purple and blue armor as a physical suit for Innocent to wear during filming.
Really? A practical suit?
Yeah. To aid the motion capture, ensure an actor was truly embodying the part, not just a voiceover. Innocent apparently spent time ruminating on top of tall buildings to prepare.
Trying to get that cosmic perspective.
Exactly, capturing the scale, the isolation of a being like that.
And what about the Silver Surfer? That was a different take too, wasn't it? Shallow ball.
A very different and I think quite nuanced and emotional take. This version introduces Shallowball, played by Julia Garner, an alien from Zenla.
Not Norin Rad.
No. Here, Shallowball made the ultimate sacrifice. She agreed to become Galactus's herald, searching for planets for him to spare her own world.
Wow. That's a heavy backstory.
It is. Garner worked hard on the physicality, wanting her to move elegantly like a dance, mixing surfing poses with these sort of statuesque comic poses. Very ethereal.
And her storyline is key to the climax.
Absolutely pivotal. The film shows her being forced, through her connection to Galactus, to hear the dying words, the final cries of the planets she led him to.
That must be torture.
Unimaginable. This internal torment leads to this profound moral struggle and ultimately this powerful change of heart. In the climax, she sacrifices herself instead of Johnny Storm
To save Earth.
to ensure Galactus is consumed by the portal. It's a huge redemption arc. Now, some fans felt her turnaround felt a bit abrupt, maybe out of left field.
Because she didn't have enough screen time before that.
Potentially, yeah. The film tries to show her growing distress through her reactions, her interactions with Johnny. But maybe it needed a bit more breathing room for some viewers to fully buy into that final sacrifice. Still very poignant, though.
And Mole Man was in it too,
Yeah.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Yes, but in a vastly different way. Harvey Elder, a.k.a. Mole Man, presented almost empathetically.
Not a villain?
Not really, more like a former enemy-turned-ally. A humane, almost paternal leader of this advanced underground society, the Moloids.
Who are usually depicted as monsters.
Right. But here they're his loyal community. Shackman compared him to a labor union leader, focused on his people's welfare, not conquest.
That's a really fresh take.
It is. A big departure from the usual maniacal mad scientist portrayal. Makes him a helper in the end.
Okay, and you mentioned the production design earlier. The sets sound incredible.
They really do. The production details bring this world to life so immersively. The Baxter Building penthouse, for instance, not just a set piece.
What was special about it?
It was built as a sprawling, two-story contiguous set, inspired by cozy, sophisticated, mid-century modern homes in California. Gave it a lived-in, warm feel, despite being, superhero HQ.
In Reed's lab.
Meticulously designed, 3 distinct, color-coded sections. A red room for hands-on invention, a yellow room with the blackboards for deep thinking, and a blue room for communications, monitoring things.
Reflecting his different modes of genius.
Exactly.
Huh.
And they even built a fictionalized Yancey Street on the back lot at Pinewood Studios.
In Grimm's old neighborhood.
Right, based on how those Jewish areas looked during Jack Kirby's childhood. Complete with kosher groceries, a synagogue, incredible detail adding layers of authenticity to Ben's background.
Wow. And the Fantasticar. Please tell me the Fantasticar was cool.
Oh, it sounds very cool. They built 2 practical models, one for interiors, one stripped down for effect shots.
What was the design influence?
explicitly based on mid-60s American concept cars that were actually referencing European cars, with these great 1950s retro-future accents like big turbine intakes, both nostalgic and forward-looking.
Perfect for the aesthetic. And Herbie, the robot.
Yes, Herbie was lovingly brought to life through a mix of animatronics, puppets, and VFX.
Not just CGI.
No, using animatronics and puppets allowed for real interaction with the actors, grounding Herbie, making him feel like a tangible part of the team. VFX handled the more complex moves and his expressions,
Which were described as
slightly put upon yet charming and adorable. They avoided the pure CGI trap, making him feel like a beloved, almost pet-like member of the family, incredibly endearing.
And all this is wrapped up in Michael Giacchino's score.
Which apparently perfectly complements everything. Described as having a jaunty vibe, blending a dreamy sense with future-looking heroic optimism. Sounds like it really nailed the sonic landscape for that retro-future feel.
Okay, so you have this incredible world, these detailed characters. What's the actual core story they're dealing with?
Right, the plot itself. It kicks off with Galactus arriving and marking Earth for destruction. Not out of malice, remember, but cosmic necessity.
Just needs to eat.
Basically. But then he makes this chilling demand for Reed and Sue's unborn son, Franklin Richards.
And Franklin.
He senses this immense raw power within the baby. Power that could potentially sate his hunger, maybe, or be manipulated. It raises the stakes immediately.
And there's a key moment with Sue, right? After things go wrong.
Yes, a pivotal moment. Following this disastrous press conference where the world kind of turns on the team, full of fear and resentment.
Understandable, I guess, facing Galactus.
Sure. But Sue, holding Franklin, delivers this incredibly powerful emotional speech to the public, rallying trust, promising they'll do whatever it takes to protect Earth.
How did that play? Was it seen as cheesy?
Some viewers found it maybe corny, yeah, or a bit simplistic given the scale of the threat, but many others saw it as really moving. A powerful display of their core family morals, their heroism, anchoring the film's themes of hope, resilience, family, a clear statement about what this version of the FF is about.
So how do they try to stop Galactus? What's Reed's big plan?
Okay, the conflict resolution. Reed initially comes up with this incredibly audacious plan. A network of standing teleportation bridges.
To do what?
To literally move Earth away from Galactus, hide it in a distant galaxy.
Whoa, just move the planet based on untested science.
Pretty much. It highlights Reed's genius, but also that occasional hubris, right? That willingness to take galaxy-sized risks. Classic Reed.
And it doesn't work?
Nope. Just as they start activating these insanely complex bridges, the Silver Surfer shows up and destroys them.
Yeah.
Shatters the whole plan.
So Shalabal stops them. Then what?
Well, Johnny bravely intercepts her, stopping her from getting the last bridge in Times Square. And because he learned her language from their first encounter.
He can talk to her?
Yeah. He recognizes her as Shalabal, and she explains her tragic backstory, becoming the herald to save Zenla. It's during these moments, hearing the cries of doomed planets through Galactus, that her internal anguish really starts to show. She flees, clearly struggling. Hints of that change of heart are planted.
Okay, so plan B?
Plan B is way more desperate. Use baby Franklin as bait, lure Galactus to the Times Square bridge, and try to teleport him away.
Instead of moving Earth, move Galactus. Much riskier.
Much riskier. And this involves a tense negotiation with Mole Man.
The ally version.
Right. He agrees to use Subterranea to evacuate New York citizens. But this plan fails, too. Galactus grabs the baby from the Baxter building. Terrifying scene.
So how do they win? The climax.
It's intense. Sue makes the ultimate sacrifice play. She uses her force fields to push Galactus into the portal, but the effort seems to kill her. Reed manages to grab Franklin back.
So Sue dies.
It looks that way. Johnny is about to sacrifice himself too, give Galactus a final fiery push into the void, but then Shalabal returns.
They're a change of heart moment.
Exactly. She stops Johnny, takes his place, and sacrifices herself, ensuring Galactus is fully consumed by the portal, thrown into interdimensional space.
Wow. So she completes her redemption arc.
She does. Then Reed, Ben, and Johnny recover Sue's body. She appears lifeless. But then, in this really emotional beat, Franklin's immense powers awaken.
And baby saves her.
Miraculously resuscitates her, saves his mom. It's huge. And in the aftermath, the team is celebrated as heroes, Earth's first family, cementing their place.
That sounds epic. But you mentioned some fans felt Shalabal's turn was maybe too sudden.
Yeah, despite the emotional impact. Some felt it came out of left field. They wished maybe for a bit more screen time or explicit build-up for such a pivotal, selfless act. It worked for many, but was a point of discussion for others.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the post-credits scene. Always important in the MCU.
Oh, yeah. And this one was a biggie, setting up major future stuff.
What happens?
So it's 4 years after the main events. Sue is alone with a now older Franklin in the Baxter building, and she gets a visitor.
Ooh.
A mysterious figure. Iron mask, green cloak, identified off-screen as Victor Von Doom. Dr. Doom.
Doom!
Finally! And the scene is explicitly designed to set up his huge role in Avengers Doomsday in 2026 and Avengers Secret Wars in 2027.
And the casting rumor was true?
Confirmed. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom in those future films.
Oh, okay. That's massive. RDJ as Doom.
Massive. And it sparked incredibly varied reactions, as you can imagine.
I bet. Some fans must have been thrilled.
Absolutely thrilled. Downey Jr. back in the MCU, playing maybe Marvel's greatest villain. Huge excitement for many, but others, significant concern.
Why concern?
Some felt the mask reveal looked cheap, like a Party City costume, was one comment I saw. Didn't convey the menace or gravitas they expected for Doom.
Design is tricky.
And also, the lack of prior build-up. Thanos had years of teases, introducing Doom, arguably an even bigger threat in some ways. So suddenly, in a post-credits scene...
Felt rushed. Not enough oomph.
That was the feeling for some, yeah. Wanted a deeper introduction to his power, his motivations, before just dropping him in like that.
And this immediately leads to speculation about Franklin, right?
Instantly.
Yeah.
Especially with Doom showing up to see Franklin. The theory is Franklin could become the MCU's Molecule Man.
Molecule Man? Explain that connection.
In the comics, Molecule Man has immense power over matter. And he's often absolutely key to Dr. Doom's biggest cosmic plans, especially involving multiversal power grabs, like in the Secret Wars storyline.
So Franklin's power attracts Doom.
That's the running theory. It ties directly into Doom's likely plans for Doomsday and Secret Wars. And interestingly, that post-credits scene, it was actually filmed by the Russo brothers.
The directors of Doomsday and Secret Wars?
Yep. They leveraged the shared actors, shared sets. Shows how integrated the planning is and how First Steps really is a foundational piece for these huge cosmic events coming up.
Okay, connecting this all back, the fan discussion sounds like it was pretty lively, covering everything.
Oh, robust is the word. Dynamic. Definitely varied. Lots of debate on those perceived plot holes.
Like Reed's plan to move Earth.
Yeah, some found it just too risky, maybe illogical even for Reed's genius. Too naive. And the CGI baby Franklin was another big talking point.
People didn't like the CGI baby.
Some found it rough, distracting, fell into that uncanny valley where it looks almost human, but not quite right.
Yeah.
Creepy instead of cute. They felt maybe a real baby could have been used more.
But others defended it.
Others found it not as bad as thought, acknowledging the technical difficulty of rendering a realistic baby interacting with powers and effects. So divided opinions there.
And the feeling that maybe it needed more time, more character development.
That came up a lot. Many felt it needed, say, 20 more minutes of character development, specifically pointing to Ben, the Thing, feeling shortchanged.
And that missing red ghost fight.
Exactly. People felt cutting elements like that maybe hurt the pacing, left certain characters without enough action, especially Ben. It highlights that tricky balance for Marvel: introduce a team, tell their story, and set up the future, all in one movie.
Tough balancing act.
Very. But look, despite these criticisms, the prevailing sentiment overwhelmingly is that it's a solid comic book adventure.
And a true love letter to the comics.
Undeniably. Praise for its faithfulness to the spirit, the optimism of the source material. The general consensus is really that First Steps is a breath of fresh air for Marvel.
Showing that quality can still break through the fatigue.
Exactly. It can succeed, resonate deeply. It's seen as helping elevate the whole superhero landscape again, showing there's still a strong appetite for well-made stories, succeeding right alongside other well-received comic films like Superman, which came out around the same time.
And the visuals were praised too. Galactus, space scenes.
Widely lauded, yeah. Stunning, impactful. Seen as a significant leap in Marvel's visual storytelling, especially handling that cosmic scale.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here?
I think a key takeaway is how First Steps really managed to be both a confident, compelling reintroduction for the FF and a genuinely promising start for Marvel's Phase 6.
It did both jobs well.
It really seemed to. It showcased that focusing on strong character dynamics, embracing a clear, distinctive creative vision, prioritizing the story itself, rather than just building towards the next crossover, that can deliver a truly impactful, resonant film.
It wasn't just setup.
No. As critics noted, it's clearly not just a big action movie, despite the huge cosmic stakes. It puts significant emphasis on the poignant, character-based scenes, on that deep, sometimes messy, but ultimately unbreakable family bond that is the Fantastic Four.
The heart of the team.
Exactly. That character-centric approach let it connect emotionally, making their struggles, their triumphs feel earned, feel real. So the question for you, the listener, after hearing all this.
Our first steps into this analysis.
Ah, nice one. The question is, what are your first steps into exploring the Fantastic Four further after this deep dive? Maybe revisit classic comics about Franklin's powers, or just think about how their unique blend of science, exploration, and family drama might play out in the MCU now, especially with Doom lurking.
Lots to think about. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed exploring the many nuances of the Fantastic Four first steps. It was a lot to unpack.
It certainly was. See you again in the next deep dive.